Got it going.
All right, everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Otaku Paradise. The only place where chicanery and misery can all happen at the same time. One of these days I'm going to get an intro, I promise. Well, today I have with me a special guest with me, and you might know him as...
Yes.
I apologize for the random pausing, but my computer is talking to me in the background and it's saying words.
Oh, gotcha. Hi, I'm the guest. I guess, introduce myself.
No, I can do that part, I promise.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest with me. You might know him as the English voice of Belle from Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? All of it, yes. Or Don Machi for you wanting to shorten it. He's also Takumi in Food Wars, all of Food Wars, which is a great show, pretty good show. He's, I believe, Shiki, I can't remember the full name, it's in Shikizakura?
Kakeru from Shikizakura, yeah, that's the full
Oh,
name.
yeah. That guy, yeah, he voiced that guy, and a bevy of other characters that I cannot remember right now, but those are the characters you would know him for. He also does streaming on Twitch, and has his own YouTube channel.
Yeah!
Called, I believe Baugus Bryson, which is his name backwards.
Yes, that's my name backwards. Hi, I'm Bryson. In addition to some of those, I also got Hinata from Haikyuu, Falco from Attack on Titan, and a handful of others. But yes, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh yeah, he's also Seiya in Saint Seiya.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
redub.
Let's. This whole podcast, we're gonna be regaling my my resume. No, I'm just joking.
Yes. Well, speaking of your resume, I have a tradition where I must ask everybody that gets upon this podcast.
Of course.
What got you to the dance? What made you go to your career? What led you to this area in your life?
Of course. So I don't know how weird this is now for the current generation of voice actors, because I feel like more and more I can certainly talk. It's my whole job.
Yes.
More and more voice actors of my generation and younger are kind of coming into it having been fans of media that we get into when we were younger. So like when I was 12, 14, mainly 12 to 14 was when I was at my peak anime fandom, was when I decided like, I want to be a voice actor. I was watching anime and I was hearing the performances. I would watch in English dub anyway, just because it's the way that I preferred to watch anime at the time. And when I realized that voice acting was something I could do, I was already interested in pursuing theater as well. And I was doing that in high school. So all throughout high school, I was doing theater, and I was also on websites that would work on like amateur projects, like a place called the Voice Acting Club, which is still around, run by Kira Buckland and a few other good colleagues of mine. And I would just do all of that stuff while attending school and pursuing whatever opportunities that came my way. And then eventually what got me into doing it professionally was I went to a theater audition, which was kind of like a mass audition in the area I was from called the Alliance Auditions. It was in Houston, and essentially what it was is you have like 2 to 3 minutes to perform either like a song and a monologue or 2 monologues or whatever you want to do at that time. And the year that I went in 2015, some of the directors from Sentai, who is based out of Houston, was there. And one of them, the late Chris Ayers, he had recognized me as a fan going to conventions and meeting him and other voice actors. And he knew that voice acting was something I had wanted to do. It's something that I had always talked to him about at conventions, but he had never seen me perform. And the world of voiceover, it's especially anime, it's very fast-paced, and if you're going to bring somebody in, you got to know that they can do the job. So I'm guessing after having seen my theater audition, he thought, well, let's give him a shot at this voiceover thing too. It seems like he's able to actually act, so I assume that's how it went down. But long story short, it's something that I've been wanting to do since I was 14, and now I've been pursuing it / doing it for half my life at 28.
Yes, Christopher Ayers is a great voice actor and he saw a lot of talent. A lot of people were founded because of him, and I think that's kind of cool that he got into voice acting because of his brother. I think that's a very nice little story. And I noticed that you mentioned your voiceover roles, but would you happen to tell us how you got to the point of where you were coding for Sentai?
So I didn't code for Sentai.
Or with subtitles, right?
Well, it was quality control. So what I would do at Sentai, whenever I was working there, it was soon after I had graduated from college. I was going to college at Sam Houston State University, which is based out of Huntsville. And it's about an hour and a half drive or so from Houston. So I ended up, once I graduated, moving to Houston to help maintain those opportunities I was having. But when you're just starting out and you don't have like a huge amount of work under your belt, it's really hard to make acting and freelance your full-time job like it is now for me. So I went up to them after graduating being like, hey, I'm going to be local. I could use a little bit of extra cash here and there. Do you need anybody to help with script writing? And at the time they said that they didn't really need anybody to help with scripts, but they were looking for people to help with quality control, QC on a contract basis at the time. So I kind of started out just as a contractor for them, taking on projects every now and then when they needed somebody outside the company to help with like the workload of the QC department. And during that time, I was working other just odd jobs. I worked at an AMC theater for like a month, and then I worked as a front desk receptionist for a swimming school. And then eventually one of their full-time QC members had to leave for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But they said they were looking to hire somebody to fill the spot. And while it was a little out of the ordinary for them, because I came to that company as an actor first, and they typically try to avoid, as far as I know, they try to avoid having like actors be on the payroll or like people trying to get a job there just because they want to be a voice actor. They don't want being an employee at the company to be like a stepping stone for somebody to become an actor or something, because they've encountered some people in the past like that who were very clearly trying to take that route. But so they had said like, well, it's out of the ordinary, but we've already been using you for contract work. Would you be interested in taking more of a permanent, like part-time at the time, and then later it led into a full-time position there. So I worked there for about 2.5 years. It was almost 3 until it became my final quote-unquote survival job at the time. And now that was coming up on a year ago this week. About a year ago this week, it was when I left there on good terms. My boss there, Crystal, was a very great boss, one of my favorite bosses I've ever had. Was very understanding that like I got dreams I gotta pursue and all that stuff. And so I have a very fond memory of my time working there. And now, I think what you might be thinking of when you mentioned coding, one of the things that I do now that I'm full-time freelance is I'll take the odd time coding job as like, again, as a contractor from project to project. Maybe they'll need somebody to help with time coding scripts and stuff. And I've done a little bit of script writing since then. Last year I did the script for The Executioner and Her Way of Life on High Dive. But most of the time coding work I've done has actually been on Crunchyroll projects, mainly through Okratron 5000, just because I guess I did a couple for them there and they seem to like my work, so they like to come back to me whenever they can to have me on stuff. So I appreciate that.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
And what caused you was it the fact that you were able to sustain yourself financially with the full-time, or is it that the pay is better now? Like, what caused you to step into the full-time of freelance?
It was kind of a hard and scary decision, like it is for everybody pretty much. I had started to book a lot more work remotely. This was near the middle. It was near the tail end of whenever remote recording was kind of like becoming like the biggest thing, because I had a home studio that I was recording a lot of stuff out of LA and New York, and I think by this point I had already been cast in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was like, well, I've got that as a steady stream of work for a while. And then I had a couple other projects at the time. I can't remember specifics, but I had enough amount of projects being worked on at the time where I felt safe in saying, hey, let me just save up a little bit extra in case something goes south, and just have a crack at it for a while. If it doesn't work out, and my boss even told me this when I was leaving, like, hey, if it turns out that this doesn't work out, fine, our door's open if you want to like come back and see if we can't get you back on the team and stuff. But luckily, I jumped out of the plane and the parachute hasn't broken yet, and I've been able to keep busy with the odd voiceover job here and there. Like I said, time coding has been helping with just having stuff in the pipeline. I'm very much the type of person that feels anxious when I don't have something that I can be doing at any given time. So there are definitely like weeks, maybe a week here or there where, oh man, I didn't have a session this week, or I didn't have any projects that I can work on. And so I'm like, oh dang, I'm falling behind. But like, I feel like consistently over the past year, it's been a nice steady stream of either voiceover work, time coding, different production contract work here and there, and conventions. Conventions have started to happen again a lot more frequently. And I've been lucky enough to be invited to a good handful of conventions in the past year or so. And
guys, for all my Florida people, let's get him down here.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see him. I would like to see him down here.
I would think I was in Florida 3 times in the past year.
I didn't know about this. Why did... Okay. We need to...
Well, it was probably in areas... It was like a triangle of completely different sections of Florida. I was in November of 2021, I was in Florida twice within 2 weeks. I think that was 2021. Was it? Yeah. It was last year, November. It was a year ago in November. And then I was in Fort Lauderdale one weekend, and then the following weekend I was in Pensacola. And then, and then this past September of 2022, I was in St. Petersburg for Anime St. Pete.
That one Pensacola's kinda at like an hour behind normal Florida for the most part.
Oh yeah.
So that's kinda, a little bit too. I'm in the central area, like around Orlando or Tampa.
Oh yeah. I think St. Petersburg, I flew to Tampa, but then they drove me from the Tampa airport to St. Petersburg. I don't know if that's close enough, but I'll try it. I'll see if anybody will bring me out in that area, and then maybe you can stop by and say hi.
Yeah, I got Lucy Christian, who's going to be in Florida later this month to sign my Don Machi stuff. So look at you.
Oh, nice. Oh, it's later this month. It might be a little bit late if it's this late in the month, but or if it's actually like this actual month. But yeah.
No, what I mean is that I may have worded that wrong. I have had Lucy Christian in the past sign my Don Machi merchandise, and now at some point in the future, I would love to get you to sign my Don Machi merchandise.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, definitely hit him up. I'd love to. I love going to cons. I love meeting people, especially people that like I've met through the internet. Like you've been in my Twitch stream chats for a while, and I'd love to meet more people who are fans of the stream and everything. I've done a couple of Houston area cons where.